So, ma'am, when you were a child, how was the accessibility to education for an average young girl? हुन्छ नि त्यति बेला त अब हजुरको टाइममा एउटा एभरेज यङ एज अ गर्ल भनौँ न उहाँहरूलाई अलिकति एजुकेसनको एक्सेसिबिलिटी गाह्रै थियो होला त्यति बेला होइन भने पछाडि वाट वर द च्यालेन्जेस त्यो टाइममा बिङ अ यङ गर्ल होइन स्कुलमा जान अथवा पढ्न एजुकेसन पाउन कतिको गाह्रो थियो के थियो त्यस्तो च्यालेन्जेसहरू हजुरले फेस गर्नुभएको?
Well, as a young kid, I was very fortunate of being born by a mother who was a political leader. During Bikram Sambat 97 साल त्यो बेला पछि जो राणाहरूलाई हटाउने मुभमेन्ट थियो फ्रम 2000 सालदेखि 2007 सालको बीचमा चाहिँ उहाँ पटक पटक जेलमा पनि पर्नु भएको थियो र त्यो बेला धेरै दुःख पाएकोले चाहिँ my mother made sure that we are each of us are very responsible children, and she wanted to, because of her failing health, she thought that educating the 6 daughters and 1 son would make their life secure. I think that was her calculation, and she taught me till class 4, and she made me join Kanti Iswari Rajya Lakshmi High School at Piafal Toll in Kathmandu in class 4. So having to recall about what happened in class 4 was that that year a classmate of mine got married. So that was a big news for me, and I remember asking my mother, what is the meaning of bia, and a child from a Manandar family from Choche Toll, she got married, and like class 6, 7, 8, I used to hear from the mothers of my batchmate saying that education is not very important. The important thing is you have proposals from good family, and you have to be packed off, and finally you're going to look after the kitchen, and then you have to produce children, and so that is the top priority. So education, little 4-5 class is enough, and slowly my friends got married. And as far as I remember, some families from good let's say, who had access to government jobs, and during Rana regime, some families had access to getting educated in Banaras, in India, Patna, and their children actually were my classmates. But as far as, let's say, 95% of local Kathmandu Valley, the parents had no education, and they never understood the value of education, and so educating a girl child was a very low priority. And so from that aspect, the environment was more towards marriages, good proposals, and jewelries and good dresses used to be the environment of all my classmates.
ओके म्याम, भनेपछि हजुरले राम्ररी मतलब त्यो टाइममा भन्दाखेरि पनि हल्का बे गर्नु चाहिँ साह्रो इम्पोर्टेन्ट हो, अनि त्यस पछाडि बच्चा चाहिँ साह्रै हुनुपर्छ एउटा गर्लको भन्ने कुरालाई चाहिँ मेन प्रायोरिटी दिएर, अनि एजुकेसन चाहिँ लाइक 4-5 सम्म मात्र भए पनि पुग्छ भन्ने टाइपको थट थियो होइन?
Yes.
हजुर.
Most of them, but some families were quite conscious, and they did give right kind of background environment in the house. I do recall some of my friends.
Okay, so हजुरले फ्यामिलीको बारेमा भन्नुभयो हैन? सो प्यारेन्ट्सको चाहिँ एउटा कुनै पनि प्यारेन्ट्सको आफ्नो बच्चा कस्तो हुने भन्ने कुरामा चाहिँ एकदमै ठुलो रोल हुन्छ, अनि बच्चा कस्तो हुन्छ भन्ने कुरामा प्यारेन्ट्सले नै हो हेर्ने। एउटा बच्चा भनेको त रक क्ले मात्र हो भनिन्छ नि, सेप दिने काम प्यारेन्ट्सकै हो भनिन्छ। सो व्हाट वाज द रोल अफ योर प्यारेन्ट्स इन योर अर्ली चाइल्डहुड इन सेपिङ योर इन्ट्रेस्ट इन योर हायर एजुकेसन एन्ड डेडिकेसन टु द करियर डेभलपमेन्ट, म्याम?
Yes, the role of my parents Of course, my father was a politician. His name is Dharmaratna Yami. And during the time when these four martyrs were killed, four Shahids in the Shahid ground, my father was sentenced for 18 years of jail sentence, and he was free. He was mostly in jail. And my mother also got arrested, and also, so I think the learning lessons from my parents were what they learned in their life is not sure. So all their 7 children should be given top priority for education, and and a lesser priority for the early marriage. And as far as teaching is concerned, my mother never went to school. However, she was given English tuition by Jagatlal Master, who was a very well-known English teacher in Kathmandu Valley. And with her own interest, she learned English, and she landed up in Calcutta. This is very important to give a background of her mother. I think that influences how we grew up, you know. So she was treated by a German doctor. Then she was taken to Kalimpong, where Bengali doctor looked after. There, you know, she with her own interest, she used to read a lot of political articles regarding the famine of Calcutta, where there were a lot of people died, and British Hatao Abhiyan of Gandhiji, you know. So she was in that circle, and she was totally a different person in our community, totally different. So she knew how to teach, and so she used to teach. She taught me till class 4. After that, when I started going to, let's say, college, and after class 10, she was the one who motivated me, saying that, well, you should go for science courses and you should take mathematics. And she was very keen that we all get into engineering line or medical field. And my elder sister went for MBBS course. My brother went for engineering course. And I was very strong in mathematics, and I took science. And then very unfortunately, after I cleared class 12, my mother expired, and behind me, my father was a writer, and he was a very dedicated person for social transformation in the society. So he was so engaged in that you know, like. Whatever my mother had aspired, of course, my father also had aspired like that. I landed up in IIT Kanpur, and that's where I understood the importance of science education, the importance of mathematics. After landing in IIT Kanpur, I said, look, my whole mindset transformed me, and I understood what my mother meant, and what she understood during her stay in India. I think that was the greatest thing that happened to our life. Otherwise, rest of my aunties, fufu, maiju, everybody, they never went to school, and most of them, I don't think they ever knew what education was like. So that way, I was very fortunate. As far as career development is concerned, after I joined IIT Kanpur in 1970, and 1975, my father also expired. So because my father was totally in a different track. You know, he used to write books in religion, he used to write books in politics and culture, and also his track was totally different. And engineering track was so technical, track was so different, that I got motivated through the professors of IIT Kanpur, especially V. Rajaraman. You know, he's considered the father of computer science in India. So I was very luckily I landed off with such great professors of IIT Kanpur, and from there I picked up this track, ICT, IT track, and I moved ahead from there. So of course, my parents, my father, he's such a great. His books are very popular, and he's a great personality, being respected by like Pandit Rahul Sanskrityayan of India. Is a great literate person. He came and stayed in our house for three times. Dr. Ambedkar has come and stayed in our house. And the environment in our house was very, very, let's say, it's different from the rest of our relatives, and we had that, we had that background, that kind of environment. So obviously, all 7 of us landed up taking science and landed up becoming, the medical doctor and some PhD and some dean and some, all of us, I think we have done well. So this is how the career track, I say, like, because my my elder sister became a specialist in cancer, and she was a medical doctor. She landed up in US. My brother became engineer. So obviously we younger ones will, when the first 2-3 do very well, the rest of the children will do very well. So as far as career development and the track is concerned, my elder sister, my elder brother, and the professors of IIT Kanpur, and a couple of other people who have really motivated me, and it worked very well.
सो भन्नुपर्दाखेरि प्रोफेसर तिमीला यामी थापा भनेर जुन नामले अहिले हजुर चिनिनु भएको छ त्यसको लागि सबैभन्दा बढी इम्पोर्टेन्स हजुरको ममको थियो भन्न मिल्छ हैन त?
Of course. Number 1, my mother. Number 2, my father. Sure.
हजुरको प्यारेन्ट्सको भनिन्छ भने एकदमै ठुलो नै धेरै रोल थियो.
धेरै ठुलो. Yes.
हजुर. So we must say your parents were really great. त्यो टाइममा पनि आफ्नो चाइल्डहरूलाई चाहिँ एकदम इन्स्पायर गर्नु भनेको सबै प्यारेन्ट्सहरूले त्यो वेले थिङ्क गर्न सक्नु हुँदैन थियो, बट योर प्यारेन्ट्स द्याट वे. सो म्याम, अब टकिङ अबाउट your जब होइन, वाट इज सो हजुरको भनिन्छ नि फर्स्ट जब चाहिँ एकदमै धेरै मेमोरेबल हुन्छ भनिन्छ नि. सो वाट इज द मोस्ट मेमोरेबल थिङ अबाउट your फर्स्ट जब?
Well, my first job was after graduation from IIT Kanpur. There was a research project from Department of Electronics, Government of India. This was research project which was handed over to IIT Kanpur. And so I had great opportunity of working in that project. And I also, my work was also published in IEEE journal, and of course working under such professors and research group in IIT Kanpur, you will not find, you will rarely find in other places in India or Nepal. So 3 years I worked there, and the reason being, one of the reason being, I had to admit, I had taken my youngest sister, who is Timila Yami. I had taken, after my mother's death, I had taken her with me and made her join class 7 in a school where the children of all the professors actually get educated, a central school inside the residence of IIT Kanpur. So she had to be admitted in Delhi School of Planning and Architecture for architecture course. And there was another sister of mine, Dr. Kaya Yemi, who is the ex-chairperson of Lok Seva. I had to admit her for PhD program in IIRL Delhi. So these two responsibilities actually made me stay and earn and sponsor them, look after them. So 3 years I worked there and I came back. That was my first job. It was very memorable. That really enriched my life.
And so हजुरको फर्स्ट जब भने पछाडि एकदमै धेरै इम्पोर्टेन्ट पनि भयो, एउटा फ्याक्टर हुन्छ नि हजुरको करियर डेभलपमेन्टको लागि पनि, अनि अब मेमोरेबल पनि भयो हैन. सो अब अहिले कुरा गर्नुपर्दा चाहिँ यु हेभ वर्क इन लाइक धेरै मल्टिपलवटा इन्स्टिट्युसन्सहरूमा एज अ इन्जिनियर, अब एज एन एजुकेटर होइन, अनि म्यानेजमेन्ट सेक्टर्सहरूमा पनि यु हेभ बिन वर्किङ होइन, अहिले गरिरहनु भएको छ काम. सो वाट इज द मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेन्ट फ्याक्टर होइन, हजुरले चाहिँ यो जब गर्छु भनेर सोच्नुहुन्छ अनि त्यति बेला त्यो मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेन्ट फ्याक्टर चाहिँ के हो, त्यो हजुरले के कन्सिडर गर्नुहुन्छ while taking a job?
So what happened was, what made me join Institute of Engineering was, although I had great opportunity of going abroad and doing PhD, and that time from IIT Kanpur, I could have gone to US, but I had family responsibilities. I came here and I was asked to join Nepal Telecom, Nepal Electricity and the ministry and all, but I opted for joining Institute of Engineering on the Tribhuvan University. The reason being, I saw a huge gap, a very huge gap between the education standard of India, the two elite premier institutes of India, and the education standard here. So having come from IIT Kanpur, I thought I would bulldoze a lot of good policies for engineering faculty of Tribhuvan University, and I joined the Institute of Engineering. I love to teach, and I taught for 35 years, from 2098 till 2015. I taught in computer engineering department. Before that, there was electronic engineering, and well, that was a job I really thoroughly enjoyed. And let me tell you the brief background of what was happening. The late 1980s, there was a boom of IT related industry. And so from the late 80s and early 90s, there was a big headhunting that was happening from Europe and US. They badly needed a lot of graduates from technical background. And the real part I enjoyed was 1994 electronic engineering started, which was very late in Nepal at Institute of Engineering. And I motivated all of them actually to go for, after graduation, they were going to US. I told all of them to go for IT sector and a new upcoming field. And there was a big head hunting, and there was a lot of money in that area. So obviously, where money, there people. So all my students most of them went for IT sector from that time only, after mid 90s. And so that is the thing which pushed actually me in opening a software company in 1991, because going to class without your practical experience and field experience and professional experience, teaching is meaningless. You're just teaching from a book, which is totally useless. This is what I learned from IIT Kanpur. So I opened the software company. And that time there were lack of resources, and there were good projects from ADB, from Friends Grant and International Fund, and the projects were totally messed. So I had very easy time picking up all these projects. So that is the thing. And other thing, what happened was around 2010, I became the assistant dean of Institute of Engineering. And I really aspired to be in that post, because I did see the physical infrastructure of Pulchok Engineering Campus, the physical infrastructure of Dharan campus under Tribhuvan University, the physical infrastructure of Pokhara and the Thapthali. These four campuses had very good infrastructure. For example, Dharan had 80 staff quarters. It's huge compound and huge good hostels and staff quarters were there. So I badly wanted to convert all of them into full degree courses dominated by computer engineering and IT related courses. That was the effort I put in. And other thing is through ministry also, I had an opportunity to go to Hanover, Germany. 1996, I went to Hanover, Germany, where this is the international trade fair in software industry. I went in 97 also, 1997, also taking a representative ministry. Although there were no resources in Nepal, they were offering very big projects which required some 50, 60 computer engineers. Some clients would say, do you have 100 computer engineering? And I would say, no, we don't even have, we have not even started academic institution for computer engineering. So they all said that you first go and open at least 10, 12 computer engineering degree courses, campuses in Nepal, and then come to CBIT, international fair, for taking projects. So that motivated me actually initiating all the new courses in computer science and engineering section. And as assistant dean of engineering campus, I converted 3 years degree into 4 years full engineering degree in Taran, Pokhara, Thapatali. I take big pride in that. And of course, one very, I always used to object that why do I see so less girls in my class? Similarly, when I was in IIT Kanpur, we had 400 boys in the class, we were only 2 girls. So when I came and taught in engineering campus, there were sometimes there were no girls in the class. So I started shouting about this girls quota. And then, there was World Bank Fund. The first thing I jumped into was creating construction of girls' hostel at Institute of Engineering, so that girls from regional cities can come and study there. So that is the, I think, happy moment. The other post, having a background, a degree from Institute of Engineering, Asian Development Bank wanted somebody who has background about restructuring and re-engineering of the processes. And KUKL actually, Nepal government, state-owned Nepal Water Supply Corporation, NWSC, had to be converted into PPP model as per the requirement of Asian Development Bank. So that was the most difficult part, like you have the 100% state-owned organization, you convert it into a PPP model, meaning you make shareholders from 5 municipalities, shareholder from FNCCI, shareholder from Chamber of Commerce. So this conversion, this transition was extremely difficult, and I worked there I worked in the board for 5 years. And I was a chairperson of the board for 2.5 years. And that was the most difficult assignment I went through. That's it. And then for a year, I was in the council of IT council in the Prime Minister's office. And then an advisory board member in the RTDF fund under Ministry of Sanchar Mantralaya, Ministry of Communication. These are and also the member of the Senate member of Pokhara University. So these are very challenging, very, very challenging. And well, good memory, let me say. Whatever I could push through, whatever I could bulldoze through, I did it. It was difficult, I did it.
Yes, ma'am. So it was very difficult, होइन अनि अहिले पनि हुन्छ नि लाइक हजुरको त्यो जर्नीमा जुनमा अहिले त यु आर अ भेरी सक्सेसफुल पर्सन, यु आर अ सोर्स अफ इन्सपिरेसन सबैजनाको लागि, इभन फर मी टु होइन अनि इट वाज यर टायरलेस एफर्ट होइन जसले गर्दा चाहिँ कम्प्युटर इन्जिनियरिङ प्रोग्राम वाज इन्क्लुडेड इन द करिकुलम फर द फर्स्ट टाइम इन द हिस्ट्री अफ नेपाल एन्ड वी फिल भेरी थ्याङ्कफुल टुवर्ड्स यु होइन वी आर भेरी थ्याङ्कफुल सो म्याम हुन्छ नि कुनै एउटा काम गर्दै जाँदाखेरि चाहिँ कहिलेकाहीँ सधैँ एउटा सक्सेसफुल मान्छे चाहिँ सधैँ यतिकै सक्सेसफुल भएको हुँदैन, त्यसको पछाडि धेरैवटा फेलियर्सहरू हुन्छ भनिन्छ नि। सो त्यो च्यालेन्जेसहरू आउँदाखेरि हजुरले आफैले आफैलाई चाहिँ कसरी मोटिभेट गर्नुभयो कि नै आई वान्ट टु डु दिस, आई हेभ टु डु दिस एन्ड आई एम द वान हु क्यान डु दिस भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ हजुरले कसरी आफैले आफूलाई मोटिभेट गर्नुभयो यो कुरामा पनि हल्का भनिदिनु न।
Yeah, I think going back to my childhood, let me tell you, in the school, they would say that, oh, science and mathematics, no, those are for only girls, boys. Only boys will do. Even the aunties, family members, everybody used to say that, okay, these are the subjects for boys, not for girls. And then I used to be so angry about it. I used to say I was strong in mathematics. I said, what the hell? And even class 11, Amrit Science College, the biology is meant for girls, and the engineering is not meant for girls. And I took a challenge. I was dead against this concept. Look, I'll prove it. So I was a person with that nature that, if somebody says no, I said yes. So I think this kind of nature slowly, every let's say blockage like this, every whatever people say, no, girls can't do it. That I think that kind of nature that was built on me. And so in my workplace, when I started working and when I started functioning as a leader, leader in organizations, it was very difficult for women to take over all these posts, big posts, and to really push through good policy, push through good processes. I had difficulties, but as I told you from early age only, if you say no, I have to say yes. I think that is the nature that pushed me into successfully, let's say, functioning as a key post functioning leadership, whatever you call it. I did it. I somehow finished my duty throughout the duration. So I didn't have to quit in between. And I think this even more details, I think you girls who are aspiring to get into a good career track should actually share a lot of experiences, the adversaries, the difficulties we've gone through, what were the lessons learned from there, what are the right messages you gather from these is very important.
सो यस म्याम अनि हाम्रो अहिले हजुरले भन्नुभयो लाइक हजुरले पढ्दाखेरि एकजना दुईजना मात्र गर्ल्सहरू हुने गर्नुहुन्थ्यो हजुरको क्लासमा अथवा कहिलेकाहीँ त हुँदा पनि हुनुहुन्न थियो, हजुरले पढाउँदा पनि त्यस्तै हुन्थ्यो भन्नुभयो। अहिले पनि आई क्यान सी होइन मेरै क्लासहरूमा पनि एकदमै फ्यु गर्ल्सहरू, अनि त्यो पनि एकदमै फ्युहरूमा पनि एकदमै फ्यु मात्र अगाडि हुन्छ नि, सबैजना अगाडि बोल्ने नै अगाडि लाइक टेकमा भने पछाडि इज दिस फर मी टाइपको एउटा रियाक्सन हुन्छ नि, त्यो टाइपको रियाक्सन हामी देखिरहेको हुन्छ। त्यो किन होला? सोसियल बााउन्ड्रिजहरूले गर्दाखेरि नै गर्ल्सहरू पछाडि परिरहेको होला कि किन होला म्याम यो गर्ल्सहरू एकदमै टेक फिल्डमा पछाडि पर्ने कुरा चाहिँ?
The tech field, even as a student, As I told you, we were 400 boys in the class and just 2 girls. They were in duita section must split girls. Actually, we were only 1 girl in one big section of 200. So I think coming back to Nepal also in my work, so it was a similar experiences. Even my friends from India went through, but somehow, let me tell you, I think it's a good education that made us face problems like this in a different way. For example, in our where I studied in IIT Kanpur, classroom was more of exam center. We used to have lots of surprise quizzes, lots of tests, and we had to do self-learning. We have to learn everything ourselves, and classroom used to be only the test center. So that way, I think boys were more disciplined and they were more engaged in career building. They were more engaged in heavy competition. And those boys were very helpful and, the environment was different. And that made my friends face challenges in life in a very positive way. For example, Anjali Joshi, who is the vice president of Google, is from IIT Kanpur. There's Jayati Murthy, a couple of girls in our institute who really went for driving the global projects, huge projects, and they were very successful. So I think we get to share experiences here in a smaller way compared to them in a smaller way locally. I think I have handled these things. You have to be very patient and you should not be reactive. I think a couple of times, many times, I used to be very reactive because I found things very unfair. But if you learn to handle without being reactive and then understand, you have a big picture of the whole situation and understand the situation from the big picture, you cool down and you handle and you really immerse as a, let's say, in spite of all the difficulties, you learn to handle complex, conflicting environment, and you need to share more such experiences. Not only Timila Yami Thapa, I'm sure there are a lot of other girls, ladies who have even better experiences than me, and I'm sure this girls in IT community will bring such ladies in future and share more and learn more, understand more. That's what I suggest.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am, for your insightful thoughts. आजको वर्ड्सहरूले पक्कै पनि मलाई जस्तै अरूलाई पनि इन्स्पायर गर्यो होला. सो हजुरले आफ्नो हाम्रो त हजुरको जबतिरै जाम अब हैन. सो हजुरले आफ्नो ब्याक प्रोफेसनल जर्नीमा हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ विच जब चाहिँ हजुरलाई कुन जब चाहिँ हजुरलाई एकदमै धेरै मेमोरेबल हुन्छ नि यो टाइममा चाहिँ अब म फेरि फर्केर जान पाएँ अथवा यो जब लाइक मेरो लागि एकदमै धेरै मेमोरेबल थियो भनेको जस्तो कुन जब छ हजुरलाई?
Going back to early 90s, when I meet students, I taught, and most of them are running outsourcing software companies. A lot of them are running outsourcing companies. There's quite a number of them are settled in US, Germany, abroad. Well, when I meet them, when they come on Messenger box in LinkedIn, in Facebook, and the way they greet me and they feel so proud about their achievements and blah blah blah. So all these things very, very satisfying. I think that's where I score very high. Otherwise, handling the key post of KUKL, the transition work was very satisfying for me, from government model to public-private partnership model. Is is very emotionally attached area. I always keep inquiring that it should go well. And other thing is, when there was a transition from computer engineering, computer science and engineering, information system in a big way emerged. There has to be a radical change in the curriculum of computer engineering. So all these courses, there's a heavy blend of information science, and so entire curriculum had to be redesigned. And my peer group, friends in the department, most of them were all electronic engineers. They never understood this transition, and there was a big headhunting in that area, and abruptly changing the curriculum of Pokhara University, Tribhuvan University was not easy because teachers were not available. And I worked in that line that is very emotionally attached. So whenever I see is graduates come from that area, kiki course garayo, kun course garayo, so these are the emotional areas, I think.
So कुनै इमोसनल एरियाज, कुनै इन्सपिरेसनल एरियाज अनि कुनै अहिलेसम्म सोच्दाखेरि पनि वाउ टाइपको मेमोरिजहरू यु ह्याभ है. So before हजुरले भन्नुभयो यु आर अ भेरी रेस्पोन्सिबल चाइल्ड होइन, अनि अब त्यति बेला पनि हजुरको फ्यामिली रेस्पोन्सिबिलिटी थियो, हजुरको सिस्टर्सहरू हुनुहुन्थ्यो, अनि यता फ्यामिली रेस्पोन्सिबिलिटी, उता पढाइ, अनि आफ्टर म्यारिज पनि हजुरको यता अब बिहे पछाडि एउटा नारी भनेको लाइक बुहारी हुन्छ, वाइफ हुन्छ होइन, त्यसको छुट्टै रेस्पोन्सिबिलिटिजहरू हुन्छ. सो यता आफ्टर म्यारिज पनि यता बिहेको कुराहरू पनि अथवा यताको फ्यामिली छुट्टै अनि आफ्नो करियर छुट्टै. सो वाट वाज यर मन्त्र भनिन्छ नि for maintaining your work or life balance, त्यो चाहिँ हजुरले भनिदिनु न.
Yeah, this is a very difficult question. When we were students at IIT Kanpur, and we girls hostel girls, a professor from that institute once commented saying that you girls from girls hostel, I'm sure all of you will get divorced when you get married. And that time I never understood what he meant. And then 1984, when I went there for some UNDP program, and actually my seniors and my juniors and my batchmate, the only girl friend I had in my class, they all were divorced. And those who did not get divorced had family problems, had very difficult time adjusting with the family. They got married. So it happened that way. So it's difficult. It's a very mentally demanding area. You got my point? It's mentally very highly demanding area, which traditional minded mother-in-laws do not understand, especially the mother-in-law, do not understand the dimension of thing we are doing. And so that creates a problem. And my suggestion is get hold of you somehow work with mother-in-law. Let me tell you, otherwise you just quit from your job. And I never understood that part. I said, oh, don't do these are our servants, and it costs so much of money. And she said, no. And she forced me to employ 2 servants. She forced me to employ 2 servants. And it worked. So some mother-in-laws understand that way. And that is, I never understood what she meant. And it worked very well. I'm always thankful to her. And that is one part is, have a supporting hand. Have a supporting hand, because if you depend too dependent on mother-in-law, she will start dominating you. Once you get dominated, you get irritated, and your work is very mentally demanding. and becomes very stressful, and it affects your health. And like you won't realize the effect on your health now at your age, but my age, later it shows up in the body, faster you age. So it's not good. So it's very important to get a good counseling session, go through a good counseling session, and share a lot of experiences with people like me. I'm sure there are a lot of, if you listen to my elder sister who is a cancer specialist in USA, she has such a big story to tell because she doesn't have servant, she cannot employ servants, and she feels very jealous with me. She has, the hospital work. She had two sons to bring up, and it was very like her duty in the hospital was very heavy. I went to Chicago. I just couldn't imagine how she was handling. Well, she's come up. She's come out of it very well. Children are well settled. She is well settled. She had earned a lot, and the outcome was very good. It's difficult, like if you really become very reactive, then maybe some other people fail, but she came out well.
So हजुरको मदर इन ल वाज लाइक हुन त सबैजनाको स्ट्रिक्ट नै हुनुहुन्छ होइन अलिकति
असाध्यै स्ट्रिक्ट
हजुर सो हजुरको हस्बेन्डको चाहिँ रोल कस्तो थियो मतलब हाउ वाज हि अब सपोर्टिभ अलि धेरै सपोर्टिभ कि हल्का स्ट्रिक्ट पनि कि कस्तो हुनुहुन्थ्यो हजुरको हस्बेन्ड चाहिँ हुनुहुन्छ हजुरको हस्बेन्डले कसरी सपोर्ट गर्नुभयो हजुरको हस्बेन्डले हजुरलाई
my husband is a very professional man, and sure he tells me that if you want to work, you work very professionally, otherwise don't touch it. It becomes very disturbing in the house. Your result has to be good, otherwise makes no sense. So he was supportive.
Okay.
Most of the husbands are conservative, and they are actually guided by very conservative mother-in-law, and things go wrong there. So my suggestion to, like, unknowingly, girls land up getting married into that kind of conservative husband, conservative mother-in-law. So you have to be very patient, and with great patience, explain the problems, and then every day make them aware. It's a difficult process. It's easy to say, but and some people have done it. And finally she came out well. And later, the children also start supporting you. Children become the backbone, and you get more confidence through children also. I've seen that happening also.
Ma'am, so हजुरको लाइफमा फर्स्टमा मम ड्याड अनि त्यस पछाडि लाइक आफ्टर म्यारेज अब हस्बेन्ड हजुरको हस्बेन्ड अनि समहाउ हजुरको मदर इन ल पनि अनि अहिले हजुरको चिल्ड्रेन्सहरू होइन धेरै मोटिभेटिङ युआर भेरी लकी भनौँ रिलेसनको कुराहरूमा बिकज अब कन्जर्भेटिभ हुनुभएको भए गाह्रो पनि धेरै गाह्रो हुन्थ्यो होला होइन सो म्याम हजुरको अहिलेको प्रोफेसनल लाइक करियरतिर जाऊँ होइन युआर लाइक स्टिल म्यानेजिङ युर अन भेन्चर्सहरू होइन so what really motivated you to start your own companies-हरु अनि लाइक म यो काम चाहिँ गर्छु भनेको जस्तो what motivated you त्यो आफ्नै कम्पनीजहरु खोल्नु पर्छ अब लाइक त्यो टाइपको चाहिँ
basically actually I was very much addicted towards developing IT industry, and those graduates from Pulchok those days, the cream students used to be from Pulchok, and I always worried that they should land up doing complex projects. And how do you get complex project? How do you make them hop into complex project? Is like unless I have a company of my own, and then unless I succeed in grabbing complex projects, And the only way that was possible is through registering a company. So I started. Pouring all the cream students into the company, and then make sure that they succeed abroad, and then come back with the projects. These are the kind of counseling I used to do. Employ them, counsel them, send them abroad, ask them to come back with projects, and they have done it.
So हजुरको कम्पनीजहरूको कुरा अब त्यस पछाडि चाहिँ अर्को एउटा क्वेसन चाहिँ कस्तो भन्दा एउटा हुन्छ नि लाइफमा एउटा फेज हुँदो रहेछ यो फेज पछाडि कुनै एउटा फेज त्यस पछाडि लाइफ चेन्ज भएको खालको हुन्छ नि त्यो अब हजुरले चाहिँ आइसिटी अवार्ड युआर अवार्ड यु फर आइसिटी अवार्ड होइन अब भनेपछि के एउटा एकदम एउटा रेडिकल चेन्जहरूले के पाउनु भयो हजुरको लाइफमा आफ्टर गेटिङ द्याट अवार्ड अनि त्यो बिफोर गेटिङ द्याट अवार्ड चाहिँ के चाहिँ चेन्ज भयो हजुरको लाइफमा मेन कुराहरू
One thing, going back, let's say before COVID pandemic, 1 year ago, when this lockdown started, okay, suddenly, I was locked up in a room, and what to do, that was the phase. And that time I realized that, the digital world and the pandemic, even creating a lot of opportunities in IT sector even more, and digital world meaning the transformation of rural areas. Yes, so that was the sector that really motivated me to really deeply understand, and I started writing articles, and I opened my YouTube channel, and I created Facebook page, and I also created blog site of my own to really reach out to the rural area, because entire world is now engaged in transformation of rural areas and digital transformation of rural sector. So after getting this award, I really, what really interested me was, look, I'm going to be known to the girls of the rural areas who are in class 10, class 11, class 12, and they need to have a lot of courses in IT sector. So how do you tell the parents? How do you tell the mother that, like when their daughters are doing courses in colleges in the rural areas, they should also take courses in the IT sector. So that was the thing. I said, wow, jumpstart, my God, how do I like 1 year I was wondering, how do I reach there? How do I reach there? Maybe I should write. So I wrote articles, I published articles also. And still, the 80% mass of our country, they stay in rural areas. So 80% mothers of the country, they don't know what the daughters should be doing. And I said, after the award, now I think people will listen to me. Listen to me.
Right.
And help in digital Nepal. There is a Ministry of Communication. They have in the website the PDF file that is Digital Nepal Framework. And they have identified 8 sectors, and they're supposed to be 80 projects. I said, look, they have to be driven by a lot of girls in IT. Then I said, these girls in tech is the other community, I should grab them. And I was so happy. I felt so happy when I was called for this interview. I said, wow. So through this channel, I really would like to encourage, and I would like to tell all the girls in IT to look into the rural areas. There are a lot of rooms for projects. You engage all the social workers, you engage the government stakeholders. There's so much to be done. And let me tell you, whatever volume of girls are there in tech today in Nepal, 100% of them, all of them have to take the responsibility of future girls, next generation girls. You all have to leave behind a great stories. You all have to emerge as great models for the future girls. We are late in this nation. We are already late. And so if you really want to speed up, girls in IT, all those girls who have taken courses in IT, they have to not just work, they have to emerge as leaders in this field. And not emerge, I would say mandatory. I would say mandatory that they all emerge as role models and they have great stories to tell the future generation. Otherwise the future generation is going to be in darkness. Why? Let me tell you. Because next 10 years, we are going to be dominated by artificial intelligence. And AI is going to replace physically intensive work. Okay, AI is going to replace logical brains. Men have physical strength, men have logical brain. That's why they boast. Okay, let me tell you, but they are going to be replaced by AI. Okay, and they will be after that replacement. There's already a demand for engagement of girls, women, female, because female have a characteristic, they have the personality, they have the nature which men cannot have. For example, tech industry driven by female, they perform very well. The result is great. There are so many examples that projects driven by female, the project performance is better. Look at COVID. The countries which is driven by women leaders, the infection rate was better. It was lower, and so these are proven cases. And with the grip of artificial intelligence, these kinds of success stories are going to grow more. And let me tell you, you will have a lot of work ahead, and you have to do very well. That's how we say Nepal will grow. Otherwise, let me tell you, Nepal, you see Ranakal, there's so much of Kot Parba and so many things. That means so much of disturbance. Rana time there was disturbance. Even the Rajako time apani, every 10 years there was so much of disturbance. Earlier multi-party system bhanyo. We are perpetually all the time in as a very disturbed country, not sustainable, and peace hundaina. If you don't have any country which does not have peace, will the technology जो आउनु पर्ने there will be slow speed, which we are मैले देखिरहेको छु. इन्डियामा आउनु पर्ने हामी 1994 मा इलेक्ट्रोनिक इन्जिनियर फर्स्ट टाइम खोल्यो. त्यो बेला त आईटी को कुरा आइसक्यो. Just imagine, way behind. We are always way behind. So त्यसैले political stability को लागि rural area लाई space दिनुपर्छ, rural area लाई empower गर्नुपर्छ. Only IT and girls in tech can do a great job there. My best wishes to all of you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for your kind words. अनि हजुरले भन्नुभयो लाइक वी आर वे बिहाइन्ड होइन, हामी एकदमै पछाडि छौँ अहिले पनि. अब हामी पछाडिकोहरूलाई वी आर द वान टु मोटिभेट अनि यु आर द वान टु मोटिभेट अस. अनि हामीले हामीभन्दा पछाडिकोलाई मोटिभेट गर्नु पर्यो भन्नुभयो. सो म्याम, गभर्मेन्टकोबाट चाहिँ गभर्मेन्टले चाहिँ हाम्रो यो टेक सेक्टरलाई चाहिँ लाइक अगाडि बढाउनको लागि गभर्मेन्टले चाहिँ के गर्न सक्छ भनिहाल्नु भयो. हाम्रोमा पोलिटिकल इन्स्टेबिलिटीहरू धेरै छ, रुरल एरियाजहरूमा थाहै छैन यस्तो कुराहरू होइन. त्यसलाई चाहिँ गभर्मेन्टको हिसाबले चाहिँ के गर्न सक्छ अनि गर्ल्स इन टेकले पनि के चाहिँ एउटा यस्तो इम्पोर्टेन्ट रोल प्ले गर्न सक्छ कि सबैजनालाई चाहिँ समेटेर हामी पनि अगाडि बढ्न सकौँ अनि गभर्मेन्टले पनि केही गर्न सकोस् भनेर. त्यसमा चाहिँ के गर्न सक्छ होला गभर्मेन्टको तर्फबाट पनि अनि गर्ल्स इन टेक नेपालले पनि? वाट आर योर एक्सपेक्टेसन्स भन्ने कुरा?
Yeah, see what is government? Actually, government भन्ने कुरा के हो भने, I think compared to you girls, I think I've seen a lot. My father went through 18 years of jail sentence. Rana period, my mother was in jail. So whatever they told us, we know, we are the eyewitness. We were the first hand who heard about all these sad stories. During my mother's generation, that was the royal family and the king ruling. There were so many unrest, 46 saal, 36 saal, so many saals went with lot of protest and all that. And a lot of these things are happening. So unstable government cannot drive a lot of policies, right policies. सक्दै सक्दैन. एकजना आउँछ, एउटा ग्रुप आउँछ, अर्को आउँछ, अर्को आउँछ, त्यसैमा चाहिँ गुड पोलिसिजहरू हामीलाई हामी फ्रेन्डली पोलिसिजहरू अगाडि सार्न त झन्डै गाह्रो हुन्छ. I think we all have to be responsible. My suggestion is we need to have let's say retired or senior persons like me to create a think tank group, who can draft policies and then drive policies. Government like dine proposals or policy related documents are create गरेर government like lobby गर्ने र lot of volunteers are required. India मा पनि त्यही थियो. It was the same story in India, but they have groups. In Bangalore, I know they have very strong groups, volunteer groups. Whose job was to write policy reports and then tell a government मा लाने and then lobby all the related industry stakeholders associations for example NASCOM हैन यस्तो यस्तो सबै ग्रुपहरुलाई चाहिँ एउटा बास्केटमा ल्याएर create a bigger group and then advocacy गर्ने and that's where girls in IT can play a very important role in bringing all these various stakeholders like computer association, iSpan भयो, software related जति पनि associationsहरु आएछ, government को regulators हरु छ, government को regulatorहरुलाई educate गर्नु बाँकी छ हैन. So whatever happens, you need to regulate, right? IT को system जे आए पनि regulator को key role हुन्छ के, and त्यो education नै दिनु बाँकी छ के हाम्रो. So त्यसको लागि girls in IT can play a very vital role by engaging people like us. And I'm sure I can gather a lot of senior people who can be engaged. For example, academia, software company professionals, senior ones, त्यसलाई अलि कोअर्डिनेट चाहिँ गर्नुपर्छ. एकैचोटी सबैजना आफै आएर गर्दैन के. And that's where I think girls in IT can play a vital role.
Okay, sure, ma'am. We will try our best to do that. So हजुरले आफ्नो लाइफमा धेरै कुराहरू लाइक पास गर्नुभयो हुन्छ नि, हरेक दिनले हरेक एउटा नयाँ कुरा सिकाउँछ भनेर भनिन्छ. सो हजुरले यत्रो धेरै लाइफमा अनि यति धेरै सक्सेसफुल हुनुभएको छ तपाईँ आज, अनि you are a source of inspiration. You have inspired us a lot as a pani हैन. हजुरको वर्डहरुबाट म एकदमै धेरै मोटिभेट भएको छु अनि I hope अरु पनि त्यसै गरी नै मोटिभेट हुनु भएको छ. So what are the top takeaways हजुरको लाइफ एक्सपीरियन्सबाट हाम्रो भ्युअर्सहरुले हेर्नु पर्दाखेरि चाहिँ हजुरको लाइफबाट हामीले लिन सकिने र टप टेकअवेजहरु एक्सपीरियन्सेसहरु के होला?
Number one, the मैले देखेको, you have to be very vigilant, right? You have to be reading a lot, and you have to be world मा चाहिँ latest trendहरु कसरी अगाडि बढिरहेछ, त्यो latest trend मा पनि त्यहाँ हाम्रो opportunities कहाँ छ भन्ने चीज चाहिँ मैले देखेको, त्यो चाहिँ हेरिराख्नु पर्छ. मेरो एक्सपिरियन्सले भनौं न, मैले 1980 late 80s 90 अर्ली 90s जो इन्डियामा जुन किसिमले उनीहरूले इन्टरनेसनल प्रोजेक्ट्सहरू ह्यानोभर सिबेटमा इन्टरनेसनल फेयरहरूमा 3 चोटि म नगएको भए मलाई त्यो ड्राइभ आउँदैन थियो होला के हैन इट हैज कस्टेड मी माई पर्सनल मनी अ लट मेरो आफ्नै पैसा पनि धेरै त्यसमा डुबेको छ सो आई थिंक that is one take away कि गरेर देखाऊ या पैसा छोडो and I did it and those kinds of things are going to come even more in your lives right अब हेर्दाखेरि ग्लोबली हेर्दाखेरि there will be lot of CSR funds हैन गुगलकै हेरौँ माइक्रोसफ्टकै हेरौँ आइबीएमकै हेरौँ सबैको बिग चंक्स अफ CSR फन्ड्सहरूलाई हामीले चाहिँ यहाँ चाहिँ ल्याएर त्यसलाई अगाडि सार्नु पर्ने भेरी इम्पोर्टेन्ट छ किनभने धेरै एरियाजमा चाहिँ लाइसेन्स कपी र लाइसेन्स फी तिर्ने नै हाम्रो क्यापासिटी छैन ओके सो हाम्रो सफ्टवेयर भन्छ यताबाट फाइनान्शियल सेक्टर भनौँ अरू सेक्टरमा भनौँ फर इक्जाम्पल फ्रड म्यानेजमेन्ट इन्जिन आउँदैछ हैन fraud detection so many good things are going to emerge but behind that there's a big cost fine but त्यसलाई चाहिँ CSR फन्ड्सहरु from these multinationals हैन त्यसलाई कामै गरेर देखायो भने त पक्का पनि दिन्छ
हजुर
okay so those are the areas I think girls in IT very important मलाई लाग्छ very soon we are going to be caught up with the technology सँग 5G ल्याउनु पर्यो 5G मा अब डिभाइसेसहरु मोबाइलहरु सबै 5G मा जान्छ हो
हजुर
and then फेरि त्यसको cost affordability is a big issue so there has to be a very big business model हैन त्यो बिजनेस मोडलमा चाहिँ इन्गेजमेन्ट भएर त्यो रेभेन्यू देखि ड्राइभ गरेर राम्रोसँग उसमा ल्याएर भने त we are going to be caught up in a difficult situation ठीक छ चाइना इन्डिया रिजनल कन्ट्रीज सबै 5G उसमा चाहिँ ड्रिभन हुन्छ हैन अनि हामी नै भनेर साध्य छ र
छैन म्याम
डोन्ट यु सी अ बिग प्रब्लम देयर हैन त्यसको एउटा समाधान चाहिँ मैले देखेको CSR फन्ड्सहरु कामै देखाउनु पर्यो हाम्रो काम देखाउने सोशल रेस्पोन्सिबिलिटी वाला जो रुरल एन्ड को जो जति राम्रो कामहरु देखायो भने उनीहरुले पनि पैसा दिन आउँछ के
हजुर
I've seen a lot of Indian youth doing great job in that area. So why don't you share experience with them?
We will, ma'am.
Okay, so you area ma discussion garau na GIT.
हुन्छ म्याम
यस्तो area ma चाहिँ discussion garau. I'm sure you'll see rooms where you can really show your performance.
So okay, ma'am. So we have lastly question and answer session, but before that चाहिँ मलाई हजुरसँग अझै धेरै लाइक अलिकति बढी क्वेशन्सहरु सोध्न मन छ हैन यो चाहिँ दिस इज माइ पर्सनल क्वेशन्स सो हजुरको मम वाज लाइक तपाईले भन्नुभयो सी वाज भेरी इन्स्पायरिङ अनि यु आर अ मम नाउ हैन हजुर एउटा आफै पनि मम हुनुहुन्छ अनि अब हजुरलाई थाहा छ नेपाली सोसाइटी भनेको अब कस्तो छ भन्दा एउटा अलिकति लेट हुन्छ नि अब क्लबहरुमा बसे पछाडी अलिकति लेट हुन्छ मिटिङमा जाँदा लेट घर नआऊ हैन अलि छिटो घर आउने गर एन्ड अल त्यो टाइपको चाहिँ अलि बढी हुन्छ त्यो कुराहरु नेपाली सोसाइटीमा अनि हजुरको त लाइफै पुरै ममले नै पुरै इन्स्पायर गर्नु भएको छ हजुरलाई सो हजुर त्यो नेपाली मम्सहरुलाई चाहिँ के भन्न चाहनुहुन्छ त्यही हजुरको वर्ड्सहरु सुनेर जसले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ हरेक नेपाली ममहरुले चाहिँ उसको उहाँको डटरहरुलाई चाहिँ ल जाऊ है यु शुड बी लाइक हर भनेर भन्नुहोस् त्यो टाइपले चाहिँ हजुरले के भन्न चाहनुहुन्छ सबै नेपाली मम्सहरुको लागि यो कुरा चाहिँ
नेपाली मम्सहरुलाई चाहिँ एउटा मलाई कस्तो लाग्छ भने मेरो आमा जब म 11 क्लास र 12 क्लासमा कोएडमा पसे हैन कोएडमा पस्दाखेरि चाहिँ त्यहाँ केटाहरु छ क्लासमा भनेर चाहिँ कलेज जाँदाखेरि पनि साथीहरुले लिन आऊ है केटी साथीहरुले लिएर मात्रै जाने है फर्केर आउँदाखेरि पनि केटी साथीहरुको ग्रुप देखाएर मात्रै घर पस्न पाउने युज टु बी द ट्रेन्ड हैन त्यसमा मेरो आमा चाहिँ कसरी फरक छ भन्दाखेरि नो मेरो आमाले के भन्थ्यो केटाहरु चाहिँ पछिको फ्युचर प्लानको लागि पढिरहेको हुन्छ, इन्जिनियर डक्टर बन्ने ठुल्ठुलो मान्छे बन्ने भने त्यो एङ्गलबाट त्यो माइन्डसेटले पढिरहेको हुन्छ। यु सुड पिक अप दोज माइन्डसेट्स एन्ड हाउ क्यान द्याट ह्यापन। मेरो आमाले भन्थ्यो त्यस्तो माइन्डसेट तिम्रोमा पनि आउनुपर्छ, तिमी छोरी हो त्यसैले कलेजमा गयो भने केटाहरूसँग कुरा गर्नुपर्छ भन्थ्यो। And she was the only one. I went to so many girls motherसँग कुरा गरेँ होइन। My mother was so different कि केटाहरूसँग बोल्नुपर्छ, बाहिर केटाहरूसँग चाहिँ हिँड्दाखेरि लाज मान्नु हुँदैन भनेर आमाले सिकाउनु हुन्थ्यो के। एन्ड नो मदर्स थट है। त अहिले तिमीहरूको केसमा पनि लेट आयो, लेट आवर्स आउँदाखेरि त्यो लेट आवरमा जो काम गरेको छ नि त्यो काम गरेको भ्यालु, त्यो काम गरेको रिजल्ट होइन त्यो राम्रो हुनुपर्छ। एन्ड लेट भोलि फ्युचरको लागि त्यो क्यारियर डेभलपमेन्टको लागि त्यो लेट आवरको कामले हेल्प गर्छ भने वाइ नट भन्ने चाहिँ आमाहरूले एकदम बुझ्नुपर्छ। आमाहरूले एकैचोटि नेगेटिभली सोध्छ कि मेरो छोरी एकदम केटाहरूसँग उ गरिराख्यो कि होइन, त्यो नेगेटिभली सोध्छ के, त्यो कहिले पनि सोध्नु हुँदैन। आमाहरूले यो कुरा एकदमै बुझ्नुपर्छ। लङ टर्म छोरीको क्यारियरको लागि होइन यो यङ एजमा चाहिँ लेट आवर काम गरेर उसको क्यारियरमा धेरै बुस्टअप हुन्छ। यो एङ्गलबाट बुझ्नु पर्यो के, नेगेटिभ एङ्गलबाट होइन, नेगेटिभ एङ्गलबाट होइन।
सो म्याम, अनि हजुर अहिले टेक फिल्डमा एकदमै धेरै सक्सेसफुल हुनुहुन्छ होइन, तर टेक कुराहरूमा भन्दा बाहेक अरू हबिजहरू हजुरको के थियो? हुन्छ नि लाइक यो गर्थे त्यो गर्थे भन्ने टाइपको हुन्छ नि, के थियो हजुरको हबिजहरू भनिदिनु न।
अब के थियो भन्दाखेरि लेट मी टेल यु, ड्युरिङ आवर डेज, आवर ओल्ड डेज होइन, वी डिडन्ट ह्याभ रिसोर्सेस लाइक यु गर्ल्स। अहिलेको केटीहरू हेर त इज फिल्ड विथ रिसोर्सेस हो। हाम्रो यङ एजमा के थियो, वी ह्याड नो रिसोर्सेस है। त्यसैले हामीलाई यो चाहिन्छ, यो हबी त्यो हबी भने हबी त कहाँ हो। मेरो आमा हस्पिटलबाट घर, घरबाट हस्पिटल, आज मर्ला कि भोलि मर्ला होइन। त्यो एजमा खेल्ने एज हो, रमाउने एजमा यु आर ओभरलोडेड विथ सो मच अफ रेस्पोन्सिबिलिटिज होइन। भन्दाखेरि मोर रेस्पोन्सिबल भएर देखाउने नै मेरो हबी जस्तो लाग्यो कि होइन। मेरो बहिनीलाई लिएर गएँ त्यहाँ फर्स्ट इयरमा जाँदाखेरि, कानपुर आइआइटीमा जाँदाखेरि डाइरेक्टरले अब बाबा तिमी आफै बच्चा छ अनि बच्चाले बच्चा लिएर के आएको भनेर मलाई डाइरेक्टरले त्यो बच्चालाई फर्काएर पठाऊ भन्छ। अनि मैले कतिचोटि बोलाएर फर्काएर पठाइदियो भनेको, म चाहिँ इफ सी हेज टु गो ब्याक आई हेभ टु गो ब्याक भनेपछि उसले ओहो बाफ रे बाफ, यो केटीको त पढाइ पनि जाने भयो भनेर। गर्ल्स आर नट, द किड्स आर नट अलाउड इन द हस्टेल, हस्टेलमा राख्न दिँदैन थियो अनि इट वाज अगेन्स्ट द रुल होइन। आई हेड टु फाइट फर इट। सो यो हबी भन्ने चिज चाहिँ मलाई लाग्छ म इन्डियामा कानपुर आइआइटीमा पढ्दाखेरि हबी भनेको कसरी भनेर चाहिँ मैले बुझ्यो के। सो वी ह्याड फ्लाइङ क्लब, वी ह्याभ स्विमिङ क्लब, सो मेनी रोबोटिक्स के इलेक्ट्रोनिक्स क्लब, दुनियाँ क्लबै, ड्रामाको क्लब सबै धेरै थियो। किन भन्दाखेरि दे वर लट अफ सुइसाइड केट एकदम हाइएस्ट इन इन्डिया थियो त्यो ठाउँमा। अनि गर्दाखेरि हबीले गरेर त्यो डेभलप हुने, पर्सनालिटी डेभलप हुने, त्यो हबिजले चाहिँ एउटा क्यारियरलाई चाहिँ, फ्युचर क्यारियरलाई नै कसरी बुस्टअप गर्छ भन्दाखेरि मैले त्यहाँ देखेँ। मेरो केटी साथी सी एभ्री इभिनिङ भयो भने ड्रामा, सी इज अलवेज इन द स्टेज है। पढाइ त्यस्तो गाह्रो छ त्यहाँ चाहिँ ड्रामा बन्यो एन्ड सी इज टु स्कोर हाइएस्ट इन द क्लास। सो अल दिज अलराउन्ड डेभलपमेन्ट जो छ त्यसमा चाहिँ मैले अनफर्चुनेटली माई अर्ली एजमा चाहिँ इट वाज डिफरेन्ट। र अहिलेको हबी भन्दाखेरि अब लेट्स 1 इयर पेन्डेमिकमा के गर्यो भन्दाखेरि मैले चाहिँ युट्युब च्यानल खोलेँ, भिडियोहरू अपलोड गरेँ, सेयर गरेँ, कमेन्ट्स लिएँ, फेसबुक पेजमा धेरै कुराहरू लेखेँ। अनि त्यहाँबाट चाहिँ एक्स्ट्रा निचोड निकालेर ब्लग साइटमा चाहिँ आर्टिकलहरू लेख्न पाएँ। सो आई लभ द्याट वर्क। एन्ड स्टोरी क्रिएसन मैले यो जो डटर अफ नेपाल बनाउने सुरभि देवान केटी छ के, डटर अफ नेपाल चाहिँ जो अवार्ड पायो नि, त्यो अवार्ड पाउने चाहिँ सुरभि देवान हो। उसलाई यहाँ ढाकेर 24 जनालाई राखेर मैले वर्कसप चलाएँ, यु नो, क्रिएटिभ स्टोरी टेलिङ and filmmaking भनेर अब त्यो जसरी डटर अफ नेपालको जो स्टोरी बनायो त्यस्तै तिमीहरूको पनि स्टोरी पक्का पनि फ्युचरमा बन्नुपर्छ छैन एन्ड द्याट इज माई हबी द्याट इज माई हबी म सुरभि देवानलाई भन्छु यहाँ नेपालमा धेरै केटीहरूको चाहिँ अब फ्युचर चाहिँ डटर अफ नेपाल डटर्स अफ नेपालको धेरै बन्नु छ यु कम हियर वर्कसप गर ल 24 जना राखेर गरे दोज आर माई एरियाज आई लभ इट
Oh, ma'am, you're so much inspiring, motivating. अब lastly, we're last in the end of our session, होइन तर त्यो भन्दा अगाडि चाहिँ हजुरको जर्नीबाट यदि त्यो कुनै पार्ट छ जुन चाहिँ यु वान्ट टु हाइलाइट यो चाहिँ मलाई भन्न मन छ यो चाहिँ हाइलाइट गर्न मन छ भनेर भन्नुहुन्छ भने त्यो चाहिँ कुन पार्ट होला
कुन पार्ट भन्दाखेरि महिलाको पहुँच इन डिसिजन मेकिङ भेरी इम्पोर्टेन्ट जबसम्म महिलाको पहुँच इन डिसिजन मेकिङमा महिलाको पहुँच चाहिँ पुग्दैन चेन्जै हुँदैन ट्रान्सफर्मेसनै हुँदैन हुन्छ
हुँदैन म्याम
होइन त भन्दाखेरि सजिलो छ काम गर्न जाँदाखेरि यु हेभ लट अफ कन्स्ट्रेन्ट्स हो कि होइन होइन भन्दाखेरि यु कम ब्याक विथ द फेलियर रेट द्याट इज नट गुड होइन भन्दाखेरि तिनीहरूको लागि ट्रेनिङ दिन तिनीहरूलाई एम्पावर गर्न तिनीहरूलाई अझ एक्सपिरियन्सियल लर्निङ भन्छ के कामैबाट सिक्ने त्यस्तो चिजमा फाइट गर्न चाहिँ पुगेको छैन मैले फाइट गर्न पुगेको छैन एन्ड विच इज सो इम्पोर्टेन्ट त्यो मलाई लाग्छ द्याट इज द मिसिङ पोइन्ट इन माई लाइफ
सो अझै पनि गर्ल्सहरू क्यान डु अलर्ट अनि गर्ल्सहरूले नै गर्ने अनि डिसिजन मेकिङदेखि लिएर हरेक कुरामा गर्ल्सले गर्न सक्छ भन्ने खालको धारणा छ हजुरको होइन विच इज रियली रियली ग्रेट सो ओके सो वी आर लाइक इन द एन्ड So, ma'am, anything more that you want to tell us, tell to girls in Tech Nepal अनि अरू सबै भ्युअर्सहरूलाई हजुरको केही लास्टली ओपिनियन्सहरू
भ्युअर्सहरूलाई चाहिँ गर्ल्स इन टेकहरूलाई चाहिँ म के भन्न चाहन्छु भन्दाखेरि I went through a very difficult phase when all these programming languages they were not user friendly, very गाह्रो एकदमै गाह्रो थियो आजको टुल्स आजको टेक्निक्सहरू भेरी एडभान्स उसमा आएछ इट बिकम भेरी युजर फ्रेन्डली इट्स इजी टु युज आवर टाइम इट वाज भेरी डिफिकल्ट होइन र अब मैले भन्न चाहेको के छ भन्दाखेरि यो एजमा चाहिँ मेहनत गरेन भने यो एजमा एकदमै मेहनत गर्नुपर्छ यो एजबाट भोलिको फ्युचर चाहिँ एक गजब भएर निस्किन्छ त्यो चिज चाहिँ रियलाइज गर्नुपर्छ सो प्लिज वर्क हार्ड
हजुर म्याम सो लास्टली थ्याङ्क यू सो मच म्याम हजुरको टाइमको लागि हजुरको सपोर्टको लागि हजुरको इन्सपायरिङ वर्ड्सहरूको लागि आइ एम रियली रियली मोटिभेटेड अनि आज हुनुभएको सबैजना भ्युअर्सहरू पनि एकदमै मोटिभेटेड हुनुहुन्छ होला भन्ने एक्सपेक्टेसन राखेको छु मैले सो लास्टली त्यही नै हो गर्ल्स क्यान डु एभ्रिथिङ अनि कुनै पनि कुरा लाइक छैन त्यस्तो जुन चाहिँ गर्ल्सले गर्न नसकोस् अनि कुनै बोइजले आएर गरिदियोस् होइन अनि सो त्यो कुरालाई चाहिँ आफूलाई त्यो कुराले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ ओहो बोइले यो गर्न सक्छ अनि दिस फिल्ड मेरो लागि हो र भनेको जस्तो टाइपको चाहिँ कहिले पनि सोच्नु हुँदैन बिकज हाम्रो अगाडि चाहिँ एउटा पुरै बोलिरहनु भएको इन्सपिरेसन हुनुहुन्छ तिमीला यामी म्याम होइन सो हामीसँग इन्सपिरेसन हुनुहुन्छ सो हामीले पनि केही गर्नुपर्छ हामी जसरी हजुर आज हाम्रो लागि इन्सपिरेसन हुनुहुन्छ त्यसै गरी हामी पनि हाम्रो भन्दा पछाडिको उसको लागि इन्सपिरेसन हुनेछौँ थ्याङ्क यू सो मच म्याम सो थ्याङ्क यू
गर्नुपर्छ होइन गर्नै पर्छ
यस म्याम
गर्नुपर्छ होइन गर्नै पर्छ
हजुर म्याम गर्नै पर्छ गर्छौँ पनि थ्याङ्क यू सो मच म्याम आजको वर्ड्सहरूको लागि so this is all for today's session I think so thank you ma'am
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for giving this great opportunity of opening my heart out and reaching out to girls in IT.
Yes, ma'am.
And I wish to see all of you working with the girls of schools and colleges of rural areas. That is where you'll score very high.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you then.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.
Bye
See you.
bye.